Hey, it's Danielle, and I have another video for you guys today, but I'm actually going to be doing an album share, and I've never done an album share before, so this is kind of a first for me. But what made me want to share this album was I was watching all of the Kitty Scrapper Tag videos, and I was on Jenny Box's video, and she had mentioned how she's kind of running out of pictures to scrapbook. And she also mentioned what inspires her to scrapbook is her family. And I can relate to that because that's definitely what inspires me to scrapbook. And that's what I would say 99% of my layouts are photos of my family and of, the things that we do. And I'm definitely not running out of photos. I have a little girl, so she doesn't really have an opinion about which photos I take or which photos I use. I am sure I will be like Jenny at one point, get to that point. But for right now, I have a plethora of pictures. But her comment made me think of this album. And I took a class from Stacy Julian. It was a really fun class. It was a short class. It was 3 weeks long. And it was a class about documenting the things that we think are treasures. And I had never scrapbooked just objects before. I don't think. Definitely not in this fashion. And throughout the class, the first week, she had us pick out our treasures, and she helped us try to determine what things we felt were treasures, and we took pictures of them, and then we went on to just gather all of the elements for our pages. We didn't assemble anything yet. We just, for each item that we took a photo of, we picked out some paper that we wanted to use. We picked out, she encouraged us to buy some, I think they were from Maggie Holmes, but some gold words that we could put on each page, and the dictionary word on each page, and a few other elements, and had us gather them all together. And then she had us write down all of the information about the treasures, kind of the who, what, when, where, the W questions, and also kind of the memory behind those treasures. And then at the very end, we kind of, put everything together in an album. And it was a lot of fun. I had never kind of scrapbooked in that fashion before. So I'm just going to flip through this real quick. I'm not going to go into huge detail about the long story behind each treasure. I'll just kind of give an overview. But I thought this would just be, I never would have thought to scrapbook something like this before. And I just thought it would be a fun class to take. And after I was finished, this is one of my most favorite albums, because I can imagine, my kids when they're older, or my grandkids, looking at this album and thinking, oh yeah, I always remember that cookie jar in Grandma's kitchen, or something like that. And now they'll have like a little record of all of the facts about each treasure, and also kind of the feelings behind each treasure as well. So I titled my album These Things Have Stories. And I don't know if I mentioned, but this is not the album I'm going to keep it in, for a couple reasons. One of them is, I don't know what happened, but I have all of these little like blue and red speckles all over this, and it kind of drives me crazy. But another reason I don't want to use this album is, I don't know if you can tell, but there is a little notch, a little cutout up here, and behind here is where kind of the memory of these treasures go. There's a little tag right here, and this is where kind of the facts, the W questions, go on this tag. But then the story, I guess, goes behind here, and you can see that these pages, you put the pages in on the side like this, and so you can't really pull that stuff out. So for now, they're gonna live in here, and it's fine. But I'll eventually switch that out. But you can see my title page right here. It just has treasures. And then each of these pages, although there's different elements on each page, they basically follow the same format, where I have a bigger photo on the left-hand side, and I do the same type of where I have a bigger piece of pattern paper, a smaller piece of pattern paper, and then a strip dividing the two. All of that is kind of the same. And then over here, I've kind of played a little bit on each one, though all of it has the same elements. So these are those gold word strips I was talking about. I have sparkly gold embellishments on each page. I chose to put doilies on each page. Of course, here's my dictionary word. So all of them have the same type of elements, but you'll see that they're all different, and it just kind of all works together. It was a really fun idea. But my first treasure are a pair of work gloves. I have really small hands. I don't know if you can totally tell, but it's always kind of been a big joke in my family. And one day we were doing yard work, and my dad had went down to the store to get something and came back with these work gloves that he found in the kids section, and they fit me, and I used them, and it was kind of a joke. And I still have them. Obviously, I took photos of them, but that is that treasure. The second one is just a syrup jar, and this is not old. A lot of my treasures are not necessarily antiques or hand-me-downs or things like that, and this is definitely not old or anything. But I bought this after we were married, after I was married, and I got it at like TJ Maxx or some store like that. And when I saw this, it just kind of reminded me of the kind of mom I would want to be. I could see myself making pancakes for my family and maybe having some like homemade strawberry syrup in here, and just, you know, just having I could see that scene in my head, I guess. And although I don't do that, I've never used this syrup jar. It still sits in my kitchen though, because it still reminds me that I want to be the type of mom that makes our home happy. And I want to have, or I should say, I want to make memories that are happy for my kids, so that when they look back on their childhood, you know, they have fond memories. And this jar, as silly as it sounds, reminds me to be that type of person. So that's in here. Again, you can see I have the same format on this layout, and then I have all of the same elements. So you see the gold sparkly pieces, the word strips, some doilies. The tag's a little bit different on this layout, but it's still there. Okay, this next treasure is just, this is an award my husband got for work. And he's gotten a couple of these, and I just, they, you know, we put them on our shelves, and I just really like to see them because, you know, this reminds me of what a hard worker my husband is, and he works hard for me and for our one child right now. Hopefully we'll have more, but he works hard for our family, and so that represents that for me. And then here are some angel figurines. These are two different ones. And my aunt gave me these when my daughter was born, and we were going through a difficult time. And this just kind of reminds me of that time, and reminds me that, you know, prayers are answered and miracles happen, and all of those things are a part of life, and to just be grateful. So those are definitely something I treasure. And then here is the apple that me and my husband passed back and forth. And I talked about this, I think, in a Project Life video earlier. I'm pretty sure. This is just it's a fake apple, and me and my husband pass it back and forth to each other just as like a fun thing to do. So one time he gave it to me. He had flowers sent to my work for our anniversary, and this apple was in them. And then I had one of his coworkers put it back on a shelf at work. And he works in he's a pharmacist, and so I had him put it back with all the other medications and things like that, so he stumbled upon it. So they're just really, you know, we think of fun ways to pass it back and forth, and I actually have it. So I have to think of a way to give it back to him. But I definitely treasure that. This is just a piece of driftwood that we got when we were on a fun, memorable vacation. And I think a lot about that. It was an anniversary trip that we went on prior to having kids, and we just had a lot of fun. So, and now this is a camera. This is probably the oldest thing, maybe, I don't know. But this is a camera we got from my husband's grandpa. And when he had passed away, we were at his house, and they were having kind of all of the kids go through the stuff and maybe take some things that meant something to them. And, me and my husband took this camera just because it was cool. I don't know that my husband has any fond memories of it, but it was his grandpa's, and pictures mean something to me. You know, obviously I'm a scrapbooker, And I have a few old cameras in my home, so it definitely, this one is a little bit more special than the other ones that I've gotten at thrift stores and things like that. But it's just a little piece of my husband's grandpa. And then this is a watch that my dad got me. He actually bought a couple of them, one for me and one for my sister when we were little, and he gave them to us on our wedding day. This is a bead that I got at girls' camp that I went to when I was younger. It's just a really special award, and it's something I'll remember forever, I think. Again, I'm sure you've noticed I've kept the same sort of elements. You know, here's the word strips and the sparkle embellishments, the dictionary, the doilies. All of that is consistent throughout the book. And then, of course, the same design on this side. This is a cookie jar that my mom gave me. We never had cookies in this growing up, but what my mom put in there were stamps that she would get from the grocery store. You know, if you spent so much, then you got so many stamps, and then you could put them in these books. And then, you know, it's kind of like the same reward systems we have today at grocery stores. You know, you can earn points for the things that you buy, but just a totally different thing. You know, we would lick the stamps and put them in the book. I have a vivid memory of that, and I told my mom, I want that cookie jar if you ever decide to get rid of it. And when we bought our first home and we moved into it, she gave it to me. So I have it in my kitchen. These are just some statues that me and my husband got on vacation that I really like. And then that is it. So I have more pages in here. I could add more treasures. I don't know if I'm going to or not. There are a few more that I've gotten that I want to add to this. This can be like an ongoing book, or I might make a separate book. I don't know. But the fun thing that Stacy had us do is each of these pages have different pattern paper that we used. So for our title page, she had us take all of those different papers, cut them into triangles, and make the title page. So all of these papers are the papers that I used in the album. So that was, I think, a fun idea, and I just love the look of this. I think that's really fun. So that is that album. Like I said, I just wanted to show it as a way to give you ideas if you're wanting to scrapbook something a little different. So thanks so much for watching, and hopefully we'll see you all very, very soon. Bye-bye.